Morning, fellow zombies. This is the diary of a griever named John Weaver, which is me. It's 5:23 in the morning, West Coast time, the 17th of September, 2024. Uh, my dog is having a conniption fit this morning, and this morning I came across an article from KTLA, Channel 5, Los Angeles market there. They already ran the story yesterday, but because it had a connection to KTLA at one time, it was hard to deal with. A 17-year-old bright girl who had a future, who had a hell of a lot of talent for being a cheerleader and a leader of sorts, a dancer, found yesterday in the freeway of the 210. She succumbed to her injuries. 17-year-old. Her name is Emily Gold. They report the news, but the thing is, what they hadn't told me about it, when I kept trying to find out if there was anything else more to it, is why. And I had to go on a self-exploration. Problem is, when I was trying to do the self-exploration, the original video was getting corrupted. So I don't know if it's usable or not. I was talking about my own explorations and how I was trying to understand the pressures, peer pressures of being a kid during those days of mine when I was growing up compared to what she was going through. She was a go-getter. Her high school team went on America's Got Talent and made us through the quarterfinals, but didn't go any further than that. But a lot of people liked her. They gave her a lot of cheer. But somehow, somewhere, a month later, she's winding up dead on Friday. This past Friday. And nobody can understand the reasons why. And the thing is, when you're dealing with suicide, there are times sometimes you can't even explain it to the people left and right, and you're just popping off. But that wasn't it. I was trying to explain, I was trying to find out the stress, the pressure. There's so many expectations that you put upon yourself that everyone else keeps putting on yourself to go further. But they never bother helping people out on how to get through those pressures of everyone else's expectations and having your own expectation. And when you fail at it, how do you deal with failure? How do you deal with the constant manner of failures left and right? And the thing is, it's something we deal with in life because in order for us to achieve, we have to keep going through failure, and it sucks. It's pain. It sucks. We got everyone else's expectations and mental instabilities we have to deal with, but it's our own head that we have to deal with as well. Trying to be a type A and you have to be on the top of things. You're busting your butt trying to please everybody else, but are you pleasing yourself at the same time? Is this what you want? And if this is, then this one person has to go through everything inside to say, yes, I want this. And even though I may fail at this point, I'm going to try again and again if I have to. I remember the times growing up as a kid that I couldn't deal with it because I'm dealing with things at home that I didn't even want to deal with. A grandmother that was already going through a stroke, and my mother was trying to take care of her and me at the same time. Not to mention a brother who came back from the Navy for about a year on an authorized absence, and he had to be sent back, otherwise he'd be in jail. But he ran away from the Navy because there were certain things he went through that scared the shit out of him, even though he was achieving a few things in there that he wanted to do. But I guess the challenges and the pitfalls and the downfalls of the thing were taking a hell of a lot of damage on him to where, He left the Navy, but not because of those things, but because he had to take care of things at home, which were more a priority instead of serving the country. But that being said, why wasn't I being affected as much as a kid? I mean, yeah, I had the peer pressure from my own mother trying to expect me to do better in school. She expected me to do a hell of a lot better, and I wasn't. I didn't have any counselors to talk about the damn thing. I wouldn't even know how to put it in words during that time. I'd lost a friend of mine in the seventh grade in junior high who committed suicide. His older brother by 2 years, who was graduating in a senior class, and he was in the sophomore class, we should call it. And the problem was he was always getting picked on by his older brother. Remember his name being Jimmy Baker and the older brother Greg Baker. And we'd hear about this kid's problems during the first semester of seventh grade. The only problem is we couldn't do anything about it except, be there for the kid. We didn't know anything what was going on concerning about how an older brother could be a pain in the ass to his younger brother. And then after that semester, we get the report and we get the notification from the junior high that Jimmy committed suicide. He hung himself. That was the one thing I was having a hard time dealing with so many years is how he died and why. In a long while, I blamed his big brother for this one. I blamed his big brother because he was supposed to be there helping him out, not doing the sibling rivalry stuff. I have never seen Greg Baker ever again. But I would never see Jimmy Baker either, and I liked that kid. Wasn't quite liking his big brother because he was an arrogant cuss. But 2 years older or 3 years older than him, he was an arrogant ass at that time. I don't know now. But I kept coming across stories left and right concerning about people committing suicide. The youth always doing it because for whatever things going on in their lives, peer pressure, stress of trying to be better than anybody else or trying to be something or can't deal with this thing. Whatever the thing was going on through their heads was driving them to a point where I'm reading and hearing statistics left and right of how many teens are committing suicide and how many times the hotline's been generated and sent out left and right, pleading to the ones going through the suicide situation here that there is help. Yeah, if you can actually recognize that you are in trouble, but even if you are in trouble, you're ashamed of it. Who wants to know if you're a guy or a girl going through suicide? Especially when you try to reach the highest levels of whatever you're trying to reach. And then when you can't even reach that and you feel like you're inadequate of the damn thing, you can't figure out the reason why you can't rise any higher. Or how come everyone else keeps expecting it that way? And when you can't get to that point, they're like, oh, well. You talk about major disappointment at that point. You talk about being majorly disappointed in yourself. That you can't people please or you can't even please anything at this point. That you can't even feed that damn ego. That you can't feed that pressure that you have inside yourself. That you can't match your adults and not even your own peers. And how they felt about it. This girl was a leader. And she felt like she failed probably in her head and her heart. Because there was a hell of a lot of expectations put upon her, not only by herself, of trying to people please or please someone else, but everyone else trying to expect things out of her. More so. Despite all the confidence and all the stuff she could try doing. It should have been a learning experience right there, but it wasn't. Because even in learning experiences, we get our asses kicked. From kids all the way to adults, we get our asses kicked. And we keep hearing that we're supposed to be rising up from that because we're supposed to be learning something from that. Well, I'll tell you, when you get your ass kicked, doesn't matter if you're a young kid all the way to an adult, it still hurts like hell. Because confidence is shattered because you thought you were going to be rising up to the top and you didn't. You didn't even get to another plateau that you should have. But then if you happen to look back, maybe you did meet a few plateaus here and there. Was that good enough? Was that good enough for everybody else? Was that good enough for yourself? So what was the expectations placed upon Miss Gold here? 17-year-old getting out there. I mean, she's just learning how to navigate. Be a leader, charging up like crazy, and then she failed because she couldn't get past the quarterfinals on a talent show. But everybody else saw that she had talent. Was that the only thing that held her back? Was that the only thing going on in her head and heart at that time, that she couldn't do it? Or was there something else happening? Was there another internal drama going on? I mean, I could talk about my own damn self. I wasn't that motivated. Speaking of which, Mama, come on. You are stressing too much this morning. Come here, honey. Come here, sweetheart. I know. Come here, honey. That's what happens when you give her to a dog. And she's stressing so much. Come here, honey. Come here, baby. I got you. I got you, honey. I got you, sweetheart. Hey, it's all right. It's all right. Tried to be a little scrapper in elementary school, and you go into junior high and the rules change like crazy. You can't be a scrapper. You got to follow the rules. But even during that time, starting off, moving from place to place, and then having a grandmother having a stroke, and then you have to take care of her at home. You're expected to be a caregiver, and you don't know what the hell you're doing. Shit. But I'm also supposed to expect to do things at school, pass classes, be a good kid. And I already had struggles at that point because I didn't know what the hell was going on. My big brother goes in the Navy, and sometimes he was having issues. Other times he would have authorized leave. He would come home and share shore leave with us. But other things happened in the Navy where he wasn't, and it was hard as hell for me seeing him that way. But taking care of Grandma and Ma, that was the thing he was trying to do. But changing his behavior a bit, that scared the hell out of me. From a big brother into someone else I didn't even recognize. But I'm expected to get good grades in junior high and through high school. Because that was that was not my expectations. That was Ma's expectations. That was the LA school board. So you go to school because you have to, period. End of story. You don't have any choice in that one. But what you do in school, what kind of curricular activities you had, you're supposed to do. And me, I'm an isolator at that time. So many things happened to me that I couldn't even figure shit out. I don't even have any extracurricular activities. I can't even be friends enough or have anybody with me. And I was already feeling uncomfortable with people around me, including my own peers. A group of kids in high school, we banded together. I don't even know why. I was even part of them. I felt like I was just there. Why the hell was I associated with them? I'm a nerd. I'm a geek. I'm an isolator. I take a book and I read. I didn't want to deal with anybody because I was already dealing enough as it is. I wanted escapism. I wanted to get the hell out of life in reality. I didn't want to deal with my grandmother regarding her stroke situation. I didn't even want to deal with Ma and her situation. Or let alone Dave. What the hell was I here in the first place? Good Lord, the things going on through my head and the attitudes happening. See, I wasn't an achiever. I was an underachiever. I had big dreams, but I didn't know how to get them. And if I wanted to get them started and try to show someone else about my work, it's like, well, it is my work. You want to tell me where? Yeah, yes. Huh? You're kidding me. No. Do it better. How's a kid supposed to feel about that shit? Let alone if you're an overachiever at this point over here, you want to achieve great things like being a captain of a football team or, even a cheerleading squad. And when you get the accolades, when you get the ego fed, and you feel like you can do a great many things, yes, it's a good ego booster and gets you going forward like crazy. But when you start running into the setbacks at that point, oh yeah, those learning curves hurt like hell, don't they? Me, I'm watching these people. Sometimes I wish I was like them, but then again, I was feeling, what the hell was I here in the first place? Leave me the fuck alone. Leave me alone. I don't want to be this. I don't want to be here. I want to be somewhere else. And somewhere else, I thought I could do better. That damn head games I played in my head on that one. But I wasn't achieving. I wasn't getting on national television and showing people my skill sets. And people would clap and cheer, but it just wasn't enough for the judges because get knocked out from the quarterfinals and then a month later end up as a corpse under a bridge, run over, hit many times. How the hell are you supposed to be able to feel or go from that one? Every time I kept seeing suicides happening, every time I kept reading about these damn things, I never got enough information. What was the progression? I'm not trying to do this analytically. I'm trying to figure this thing out in my head because there's always something about that one. Hey, I gotta put you down, okay? I'm worried about you, girl. I'm dealing with a senior woman here, all blind, deaf, but she's still got life and she still knows how to gripe and grumble. So I gotta treat her nice. I thought I was treating my grandmother nice when I was growing up, especially when she was in bed, but man, it was hard as hell for a teenager to deal with that kind of stress. It was hard as hell for a teenager trying to deal with the stress of an elderly lady who needed a lot more attention than what a kid could actually provide, let alone a stressed out mother, or let alone an errant brother who comes back home finally from the Navy to help out. See, I didn't have the heights to deal with. I had the thing in front of me to deal with. I kept saying the reasons why I wanted to do my channel is to see if there's any progressions, anything else that would lead me over that cliff. I'm wondering whether or not this particular young lady, age of 17, who still had her future ahead of her, whatever she wanted, why she had to do it. What? Why? Something inside of her broke, and somebody couldn't reach it, couldn't reach her, and ask her what's going on. Because I know life keeps throwing us loops left and right. It keeps throwing us these things that we still have to overcome. We struggle on up to the next plateau as we try to use this metaphorical thing that we're dealing with here. And I ask myself, but the thing is, I wanted those things, but I didn't know how to reach them. I wasn't strongly encouraged, except yelled at because I wasn't doing it. I wasn't being encouraged. I didn't have any help. Of course, they actually had help at the school. They had a special program. If I get the damn name of it. I was trying to merge you back into the regular curriculum to help you along. A long time ago, I could say it off the top of my head, no problem. Now I just can't even think about the damn word, but it's in there somewhere, I know. I had tutors for math, I had tutors for anything else if I wanted them, and I didn't use them. But I didn't have the tutors necessary to teach me about life, only about subject matters. Yeah, we had the counselors, but could the counselors give me about an hour and a half or 2 hours trying to figure out what's going on in the noggin? No, not that much anyway. Maybe, but I didn't give them a chance. I sure as hell needed them back in the seventh grade when I lost a best friend at junior high. But I didn't know how to reach out. I didn't know how to ask for help. I didn't know how to tell people around me, I can't understand what happened. Why did my friend hang himself? What what caused him to do this thing? And there was, I don't know. Nobody else figured it out. I couldn't even put it into words what I needed. I was struggling with a hell of a lot of things. I think every other kid would be struggling through this stuff, but did they ever get the help needed either? Back then, we didn't even have a 911. Back then, we didn't even have a 988 for suicide prevention. Because I didn't know anything about that. Growing up back in the 70s and 80s, going through K through 12, 11th grade twice. But I didn't have the resources needed during those days to try to cope and figure out what the hell was going on. Hell, I've been a perfect candidate for suicide during those days. I would have been. I wanted to check out from reality during those days. The kids, the way they wanted to check out was just getting stoned or drunk. No, 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 no. They probably would have considered me going down that end. That end. Where young people like Emily Gold was going down. And didn't understand why. Didn't understand what was going on. That was not reported in the news. What was going on? Was the stress and pressure of being a number one, a type A personality, getting to her at that point? Everyone else's expectations bearing her alive, and when she couldn't match up, did it get worse on her? Did she make it worse for herself? We as adults are trying to figure shit out, and sometimes we adults are popping our corks. Again, we got the national suicide thing to deal with, don't we? We got counselors, we got therapists. Only if we're allowed to open up and talk to people like that. These days we can do podcasts, we can do videos, we go on social media. Mama, I'm right here, babe. I'm dealing with a dog that's stressing out so much it's not even funny. Something's scaring the crap out of her all the damn time, and she can't deal with it, so she's got to be held and protected. I couldn't be this way a long time ago as a kid. I couldn't get myself in this kind of a situation. There's no way in hell I would have been able. Understanding that even some people are human creatures, need help, dependent upon us for help. They cry and respond. If I was crying back then, I was it. If I was going through a hell of a lot of shit, Ma wasn't able to help me out. Neither was David. We didn't have the way of communicating with each other in that level. Otherwise, we would have been in trying to figure shit out. We weren't able to talk to each other in that level or format because we didn't know how to. One time when my brother came home from a mission he was on in the military, he was a changed person. His attitudes were a lot different. This is before my grandmother had the stroke. And he was a lot angrier, frustrated, terrified. He was not his character. At that time, Ma had an instinct of saying, I know you're in trouble, but you need to go to someone who's going to help straighten this thing out. So she told my brother to go to the nearby military base. My brother was in the Navy. And he went to the therapist over there, a shrink. Whatever was being told to him in whatever form and function, it was trying to tell him how to compartmentalize everything, put things away inside so he could function afterwards. But those things would tear him apart down the road. But it was imperative for him to be functional for the military and his family. So therefore, he had to change. He had to be different. He had to get back his old self so he could function. But he had to shove the pain away and whatever things he was going through. He tried. He tried. Me, on the other hand, there have been times I wanted to commit suicide, but no. I wanted to commit into running away from home. I didn't want to deal with Ma. I didn't want to deal with David. I didn't want to deal with anything else. Leave me the hell alone. I wanted to run away. I'd seen how my friends' parents had treated each other in different forms of factions on it. They made me feel uncomfortable. Maybe one particular family, maybe I could have, but I still wanted to run away. I wanted to leave. I wanted to go somewhere where they never heard of me, where I didn't have the expectations of being someone else. Kid will find one way to escape fantasy, and I was trying to escape it, and I'm wondering the hard way if I could actually do it. And it never came up. But I can tell you that in certain circumstances, I did want to commit kill. I did want to commit to on that final pathway. I did want to kill myself. I was afraid of death, and I've already been through death as a 4-year-old. What more could I have gone through? Well, let's see. Car accident, falling out of trees, smashing my face into a brick wall. Uh, Breaking an elbow and almost hitting a car's tire. Yeah, I had a few times I could have been killed. I want to think about it that way. My kid, I'm supposed to be indestructible, right? Smash yourself in the face, you get a smashed up nose. Get into a car accident, damn near get killed. So yeah, I had things in my life that could have killed me right then and there, but it didn't. Was I considering myself lucky, or was I considering myself unlucky? I didn't go through performing arts. I didn't do anything that would have put me on a level like a type A personality, or I could have been being an overachiever. I was an underachiever. I've already seen and experienced death like crazy. What could I have possibly gone through that would make me like everybody else? How could I look at myself and how I looked at others that I think I don't know who the hell I was, to tell you the truth. I'm seeing some of these kids out here who've got a hell of a lot of pressure being put on them and don't even know how to deal with it, how to deal with rejection, or how to deal with people walking away from them because They felt their expectations that they were getting from the kids or young adults. Maybe they didn't see enough, or whatever mental games are going through there. That would make the person who was trying to struggle like crazy, trying to please everybody, wasn't pleasing themselves, and therefore felt inadequate, and therefore they had to kill themselves. That's how it's not a psychological thing. I'm seeing it, I'm hearing it, I'm reading about it, I'm gone through it myself. If I had been an overachiever, if I had been someone that pushing myself to the extremes, yeah, that would have been a hell of a lot of changes in my life during that time, but I didn't. I didn't have it. I already been born damaged goods. Crooked limbs, holy heart, age 4 years old, died 3 times in a table, came back to life 3 times in a table, and learned how to hate the medical establishment. Wasn't quite sure about life itself or about the idea of God or anything else like that. Scared of God. Scared of contacting an unknown world like that. And what it was would change a person's personality like crazy and then depress the crap out of them. But to deal with the thought of suicide and feeling like I wasn't enough for anybody, not even myself. We still feel that way in our adulthood, even though I've got experiences of things I've gone through already and should have died. It's different in my perspective as an older, more mature adult than it is as a kid. Kid, you got the expectations shoved on them like crazy. You have to do this. You have to. You have to perform. You have to be this way. You have to. Push, push, push. Guess this is life. You got to be going through that way. I wake up one day as an adult and I still have to go through that shit. You know what the thing I kept trying to rely on more and more is support. If I actually had people still supporting me, maybe I would have been a hell of a lot better. I don't know. I'll do another video on this one. I'm running out of time, and my dog's driving me nuts.